with your energy forecast for Monday, November 4th. So today we have the moon in Sagittarius energy all day, which is definitely the most optimistic, most confident energy that we can be sitting in. We are in exploration mode. We're in experimentation mode with our emotions, with what it is that we could change in our inner realm and our external realm in order to create more adventure, more spontaneity, more meaning, more purpose in all it is that we are doing. And of course, we're still in Scorpio season, so change and transformation is the name of the game. But we're definitely a little bit more hopeful and wishful and whimsical under this particular influence. Now, this is the first day in November thus far. I know we're only 4 days in. However, this is the first day of the month that we get a little tiny bit of a break. Now, when I say that, doesn't mean that we don't have energies coming up. Doesn't mean that we don't have activations and triggers coming up. What I mean is that we dove into November. Again, listen to the energy forecast for the whole month so that you know what's coming at you. Download your November energy guide specifically tailored for your zodiac sign. We jumped into November. We had that new moon in Scorpio. We're still sitting in it. We shifted Mercury's energy in the Sagittarius the very next day. And of course, here yesterday on the 3rd, not only did we have Mars and Pluto in an opposition, and Venus and Jupiter in an opposition, but of course, we watched Mars move into Leo energy. So we're still kind of adjusting. We're acclimatizing, if you will. And on Mondays, being ruled over by the moon, we have an opportunity to get in touch with our emotions, to get in alignment with our emotions. And again, the moon in Sag energy gives us the most, I'm going to call it rose-colored glasses lens that we could possibly be looking through at this particular point in time. And again, we're kind of renewed, refreshed in our soul and our spirit, and there's going to be some realizations that definitely come out of that. So there are 10 different aspects popping off here today, and 8 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon is going to make a positive interaction with the sun right out of the gate. So the moon in Sag, the sun in Scorpio, this is a positive interaction. Anytime that the sun and the moon are coming together, there's going to be an aha moment. There's going to be an awareness of what we want, what we need, what we desire, what we have to do, what we have to pursue. And again, the sun shining a very bright light in the Scorpio energy. We're looking for change. We're looking for transformation in order for us to let go, detach, close the door upon a lot of the aspects that the old version of self had built and created that this new version of self isn't in resonance with. We have new wants, new needs, new desires. Again, desire being the main focus of Scorpio season. And because of that, there has to be a major change, a major shift, not only in our inner realm to get our heart and head aligned, but then to take the action and make the moves that, of course, in our external realm is going to help set us free from the old and really create a space for us to start building towards the new. And so the moon and Sag, of course, giving us the optimism, giving us those rose-colored glasses, giving us the ability to dream a bigger dream for ourselves. This is going to bring into our awareness what it is that we want to pursue from here. The moon is then going to get into the boxing ring, though, square off, fight it out with Saturn, the Lord of Karma. So, of course, he's still retrograde in this Pisces energy, again, trying to wrap up a 30-year cycle for the collective. Individually speaking, of course, we are closing karmic chapters. And because this retrograde energy is a focus inwardly, this is for us to boss up, for us to be a little bit more disciplined, determined, if you will, to do better, to be better, to kind of create better boundaries in our lives, especially in order for us to protect our emotions, for us to protect this new version of self, for us to protect this new goal, vision, and dream, this new belief system that we are trying to hardwire in this new version of self, anchor in, so that, again, this can be the dominant operating and programming that we are operating under. A square doesn't feel good. It's highlighting growing pains. And here's the thing, the moon in Sag, so freaking focused on the future, on what could be. Mr. Saturn, he needs us to be a little bit more realistic. We got to get our head out of the clouds. We have to stop thinking so far into the future because there's a mess in this present moment for us to clean up. We have to wrap up these loose ends. We have to close the door upon old chapters in order for us to have a clean space, a clean slate for us to start building towards the new. So this is going to be like a balancing act where we kind of let ourselves dream, let ourselves move off into la la land, but then kind of give ourselves a reality check on, hey, the more time I spend focusing in on my future, the less time I'm spending cleaning up the mess of the present. So this is going to be a back and forth cha-cha-cha on, yes, giving ourselves permission to be optimistic, to be hopeful and wishful about the future, but also be very realistic on what we have power and control over to clean up, to provide a finality to here in the present moment. The moon is then going to step aside. We have a very important interaction taking place, and it's not going to feel good, but it is feeding off of that moon squaring Saturn. And this is between the sun in Scorpio energy and Neptune, who of course is retrograde in his rulership in this Pisces energy. So this is a water on water action, but it's an awkward interaction. It's not the most positive. It's not the most negative, but what we're going to realize, especially coming out of this moon squaring Saturn, is where it is that we're having a difficult time, not only focusing on the smaller details of the greater, grander vision that, again, we're trying to piece together, that we're trying to imagine in our headspace, but also a difficulty in focusing in on the problematic areas in this present moment. What we actually have to do. We're low on willpower, we're low on clarity, we're low on direction. And so this isn't going to feel good. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to illuminate for us where it is that we have to strike a better balance between what it is that we need to be doing now in order to wrap up the old and what it is that we need to be doing now in order to align ourselves with the future goal, future vision, future dream. Now, emotionally speaking, we're going to probably feel a little bit overwhelmed. We're going to probably feel a little bit frustrated with the lack of clarity, with the lack of direction, with our inability to actually concentrate and focus on one thing at a time. Again, Mercury is in Sag energy. We got the ADHD squirrel going on. So this is definitely going to play into that. And we're kind of getting on our own damn nerves. We're kind of getting on our own nerves and our inability to actually have the focus that we need in order to actually get things done. The moon in Sag then going to semi-square, creating a little bit of tension and conflict with Pluto, the great transformer, who is in the final degrees of this Capricorn energy. A lot of this is mostly because, again, the moon in Sag wants to stay optimistic, wants to stay in this hopeful, wishful dream state that whatever it is that we could dream, that we could actually bring to life and achieve. Well, Pluto, on the other hand, focused on the cleanup. Focused on bringing in the wrecking ball in these final days of being in this Capricorn energy and totally demolishing any of the structures, the foundations, the aspects that belong to the old version of self, that belong in the past, that belong to that old world. And so there is going to be some conflict in our emotions. There is going to be a darkness, a heaviness weighing over us, because as much as we want to escape this physical realm and reality, to live in La La Land and start conjuring up a goal, vision, and dream that we want to manifest, there are aspects, there are situations, there are circumstances still alive and well in this present moment that have a lower vibration and frequency, a lower resonance. Again, attached to the old version of self, again, attached to the old realm, the old reality, that technically speaking, going to block us from being able to manifest this high vibe situation, circumstance, dream, and vision that, again, we want to manifest so freaking dearly. So again, there is going to be this back and forth in our inner realm for power and control over where our focus actually needs to be. The moon in Sagittarius energy then going to make an awkward interaction with Mars. Mars being the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. This is his very first aspect while fresh in this Leo energy. So again, if you haven't listened to that astro forecast, if you haven't bust out your November energy guide to capture what's going on for you, I'm definitely going to recommend you do all of those things. This is fire on fire, but again, it's not the most positive interaction that we could get. It's definitely not the most negative either. It's awkward. We're trying to adjust to this energy. The moon, of course, in Sag energy wants us to be futuristically focused, wants us to dream the greatest, biggest dream possible. Mars, now trying to get aligned with this heart space, the Leo energy, heart and soul of the zodiac, trying to get an alignment with this new authentic version of self that we are busting out, grounding in, anchoring into the present day. We are trying to build momentum, build determination, build motivation towards us executing a path, a plan, a strategy that is going to get us to these new futuristic goals, visions, and dreams. Problem is, and again, if you tuned into yesterday's energy forecast, you would know we're still in an opposition with Pluto, and we will be for technically the first week of this particular transit. So we're being put on the bench. We're being put on pause. We, again, have no choice but to move inward and to really, again, cultivate the spark, the fire, the flame in our inner realm that we need in order to hit the ground running when we're given the green light go ahead to take action, to make moves. The sun in Scorpio energy is then going to trine, beautiful interaction, with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is retrograde in this Pisces energy. This is a beautiful influence. Again, a trine means that we're working with like-minded elements, water on water, and water cleanses us and it purifies us before it refreshes us, renews us in our soul, in our spirit, in our emotions, in our intuition. Now, it comes at a beautiful time. This is midway through the day, especially coming out of some of the triggers and activations earlier on here today, where we start realizing that we have limitations, where we have boundaries that we need to be operating in. Does it feel good to realize that you want to do all of these things, but you don't physically have the energy to do so? Does it feel good to have a huge to-do list and not have the mental energy to actually go through it? Does it feel good to have situations and circumstances that we need to wrap up, that we need to kind of reconcile, that we need to resolve, but we don't have the emotional capacity to deal with it? No, it does not. But we have to get real and raw and vulnerable with ourselves that we do have these limitations. We have to be willing to accept these limitations. And instead of looking at it like a Debbie Downer, we have to construct the right kind of structure, the right kind of routine, the right kind of way to actually do what it is that we can do, acting in the parameters of the limitations that we're now very aware of. This is where we flip the script. This is where we realize that just because we've been banging our head against a wall trying to do a certain thing doesn't mean that it's going to be like that forever. This doesn't mean that we're going to get down on ourselves, bring out negative Nancy and Betty the bully, and make ourselves feel bad for not having the energy, the mental power, the physicality to do all the things that we want to do. What this means is that we have to flip the script, and we have to understand where it is that we do have limitations, where it is that, yeah, they may suck. However, we can still do a lot within the boundaries, the limitations that we currently have working against us. This is an opportunity for us to really, really put our mental and emotional control to work. What do I mean by that? We have to learn how to enjoy the little things. We have to learn how to infuse happiness and playfulness in our day-to-day lives. We're doing the tasks, the roles, the responsibilities of our day-to-day lives are concerned, instead of allowing them to be this heaviness, this weight, this obligation that sucks the life force energy out of us. We have to add some spice. We have to make it fun. And because this is happening in water energies, this is going to be about the power and control that we have to flip our emotional disposition, to understand that we could feel disempowered by not being able to do all the things that we want to do, or we could feel empowered by doing the things that we actually have power and control over in the here and now. So it's almost like we're willing to kind of take a more practical approach on how it is that we are going to manage our thoughts, manage our emotions, while still operating in this sense of having boundaries, limitations. And so this is where we really boss up, where we really understand how much self-discipline we actually have, how much strength we actually have, how much fun, how much happiness, how much joy we're able to create in our day-to-day lives while we still reach the roles and responsibilities that, of course, we're obligated to fulfill. So that's definitely going to be a turn in the right direction, especially where these energies are concerned. Now, we sit in that for a couple of hours, and then 3:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the moon in the Sag energy sitting across from, directly opposing Jupiter. Now, Jupiter rules over the Sag energy that the moon is currently in, but of course, Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini energy. The Gemini energy is what we know. The Sag energy is what we believe. And we do have to strike a balance between what we believe and what we know, because if we are doubling down on what we know, that's kind of dark, kind of bleak. That is us really relying on the physical world, the information, the details that we're plucking out of our surrounding environment to dictate what is possible for us. And that in itself is very limiting. The belief part is the hopes, the wishes, the dreams that we're creating in our inner realm. That is the spark that allows us to manifest a situation and a circumstance that is a better vibration, a better frequency, a better resonance for us than the current environment that we're feeling suffocated in. And so usually Jupiter brings, the optimism, he brings the confidence, but he's not bringing it right now because this is not a nice interaction. This is an opposition. This is us emotionally realizing where it is that we can only take ourselves so far where hopes and wishes and dreams are concerned. And Jupiter showing us where, because he's in a retrograde, we already have information, wisdom, knowledge alive and well within us that we've already accumulated from tough love life lessons of previous days that we haven't practiced yet. We haven't integrated yet. It's like we just, we gathered this information, we put it in a cute little box, we put it in the back of our mind space, we've done nothing with it. This is a time where we're going into the attic, where we're understanding that we have to open the box, actually see what it is that we packed away. And guess what? Spoiler alert, there's going to be a lot of information, wisdom, and knowledge that you could be using in your present moment, in the here and now, to totally change the game. So this is an opportunity for us to grow, because that's what Jupiter is all about. And this is an opportunity for us to integrate some of that wisdom, some of that knowledge that we had to learn the hard way into the present moment right now, so that we can prevent making the same mistakes again, especially where just hopes and wishes and dreams come in, not being backed with action, with planning, with strategy. So the moon is then going to trine, beautiful interaction, with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is retrograde in Aries energy, helping us to bring forth this new version of self, helping us to grow, to heal, to evolve. Now, this is a beautiful interaction. It's fire on fire energy. What does fire do? First of all, it burns away the gunk. It burns away through the cords of attachment that, of course, we're realizing we have to let go of in order to have the space to build something new. And then what fire does is it regenerates, it rejuvenates. It puts us in a situation where there's a spark, a fire, a flame that, of course, is going to lead to creative solutions on what we could do to be better, to do better. And so this particular interaction is doing just that. It's showing us, okay, we are kind of in a position to think about the future, to think about new wants, needs, and desires. We are this new version of self that, guess what, still takes a lot of energy, still takes a lot of focus, a lot of concentration, a lot of practice in order to be the higher self. So it's not second nature as of yet. Again, we just brought it online. Practice makes perfect. And so what we're getting here is this ability to see where it is that, yes, we're raising our vibration, we're raising our frequency, we're changing our mindset, we're changing our emotions, which means that we have the ability to flip the script. We're proving to ourselves that nothing has really changed in our external realm. The changes are happening in our inner realm. And because of that, there's a huge amount of growth, a huge amount of healing taking place in our emotional realm, understanding where it is that, again, there has been some triggers, some activations brought to our attention. We are in Scorpio season nonetheless, where shadow work is an essential. And we are doing what we can in the present moment to, again, have those rose-colored glasses on, to be looking at life, even the problematic areas, with the most optimism, with the most confidence that we could possibly have, knowing that it's a part of the plan, knowing that it's a part of the process, and knowing that we are going to end up being A-okay. The moon is then going to come up to, bump into, team up with, conjunct Venus. Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. Venus has been in this Sag energy. She's opening up our heart space. She's willing to experiment. She's willing to explore with different ways that she could be going throughout her day, interacting with the people around her, doing the things that she loves, doing the things that bring a sense of happiness, of safety, of security to her day-to-day realm. Now, a conjunction is just as much an ending as it is a beginning, and we are essentially putting to rest, putting to sleep, putting to death the old emotional cycles of feeling restricted and blocked by the people that we're choosing to have relationships with, the restrictions, the confinements that we are feeling to stick with the same old, realizing that we've created a prison for ourselves. The beginning is freedom. The beginning is independence. The beginning is liberation from a lot of the heaviness, a lot of the weight that we've been carrying in our heart space. And then the last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in this Sag energy making a beautiful interaction with Mars. Mars being the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. Fresh in this Leo energy, this is fire on fire action. We love this. This is getting us motivated. This is getting us determined. This is getting us inspired. This is getting us kind of honed in on what we want to take action upon. Again, we're not going to be gifted an opportunity to take action and make moves until we get out of this oppositional situation with Pluto. However, we're still building our inner realm. We're still cultivating this excitement, this passion, this desire. We're still cultivating the spark, the fire, the flame that is now lit in our heart space and under our ass, in order to get a plan and a strategy together, in order to get a different perspective on what it is that we actually want to do, what we actually want to pursue, what we actually want to achieve.